my car wash case, which is one of my favorite cases I've ever done. It was against 2 car washes paying workers as little as $4.50 an hour. All the workers were undocumented. So they knew they weren't getting paid minimum wage, but they were getting threatened with immigration consequences.
Wow.
But when we filed the lawsuit, we file as the people of the state of California. It's complete anonymity, total protection. And we were able to, in 9 months, get them a settlement that got them each between $10,000 and $40,000.
Wow.
And it's awesome. And I just think if there's something that LA needs, it's that times 100.
Ooh, wait. No.
Listen. Wait.
I hate you for that.
Let me fix it.
Hello. If you are new here, welcome to the class. If you are already seated in the class, and remember, please sit down, grab your pencils, because we have another great political guest in session with us today. She is a lifelong Angelino who currently serves as Deputy Attorney General. She has taken on the Trump administration to protect sanctuary cities, defend students and DACA recipients, and to fight the inhumane treatment of immigrants. Her decision to pursue a career in public service came after Prop 8 passed, thank you so much, and took away marriage equality for LGBTQ plus Californians, which included her younger brother. She's now running for LA City Attorney, and we are so excited to talk to her. Please welcome Marissa Roy to the pod. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh, we are so excited. Thank you for making the time to chat with us. Class, we're really about putting our money where our mouth is here on Let Me Fix It. So we are having these discourses with some incredible candidates who've been supported by Run for Something. And as many of you know, Run for Something recruits and provides support for young progressives to run for political office. So one of the first things we wanted to ask you, Marissa, is how you got involved with Run for Something, and what has your experience working with them been like thus far?
Honestly, I got involved with Run for Something way before I ever thought I was going to run for office, because I think, honestly, when we think about how we can make change in our communities, it's at the local level. It's these positions that, frankly, people have never heard of, that have huge impact on our lives. So I just started volunteering in LA, where I grew up. And started helping our wave of progressive candidates. We, in the last 6 years, have had an extraordinary thing happen in LA where we have ousted incumbents. The city council used to be something people didn't pay attention to.
Yeah.
And so it would just be that people were appointing successors. Elections were happening in off years where there was lower voter turnout. And then Councilmember Nithya Raman really became the first Run for Something candidate who ousted an incumbent. And who ran on an unabashedly progressive platform. And then we got Hugo Soto Martinez, we got Eunices Hernandez, we got Isabel Jurado, whose campaign I worked on as political director. And so really I started getting to know Run for Something really well because they would always support our candidates. And the thing that you don't really realize until you're doing it or you've worked on a campaign is that early support matters so much, because when you are young, when you are progressive, everyone is so quick to say, well, you're not viable.
Can't do it. You can't do it.
Yeah. And so having Run for Something and having this nationwide network shows that, yes, we actually can. And it's that early support that really, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. When people say you're not viable, then you won't be viable. But when people believe in you and believe in you early, that's what gives you the boost. And so that's why I've always loved working with Run for Something. And they've supported so many of the candidates that I've spent hours and hundreds of hours volunteering for.
It's super inspiring. And, I love politics, but I'm nobody's politician. But I'm like, well, maybe, I don't know, because of the support Run for Something, right? And there are a lot of amazing candidates like yourself who already have experience, who just need to be tapped and given a little bit more support. Case in point, you're no stranger to the LA City Attorney's Office. You worked there from 2017 to 2018, and you won a couple of settlements for employees. So having been such a successful advocate for the office, what are some ways you'd like to change or things you like to implement if you become the LA City Attorney?
Well, here's the extraordinary thing about the LA City Attorney's Office. It has the power under state law to sue any business for anything unlawful, unfair, or deceptive. And when I say anything unlawful, I mean literally anything. So the landlords who are unlawfully evicting people, the companies that are not paying people minimum wage or, not providing safe workplaces, the consumer scams that we get all the time that are illegal, like all of those,
blowing up my phone.
Right. It's illegal. It's illegal.
Totally.
And you can get really corporate polluters is a huge one. You can get
Wow,
really
yes.
creative. There's so many different corporate abuses. But unfortunately, our city attorney really doesn't focus her resources there. She's corporate funded and a corporate bankruptcy attorney herself. And out of 1,000 legal professionals in the office, less than 5% do the public rights work. And that's like what I've been
Wow.
doing my whole career, from fighting wage theft to just fighting a slumlord and winning back over $500,000 a couple months ago to currently suing Meta, fighting Trump, all of it. It's like there's so much more that this office can do. And I want to transform it into the most significant public interest law office in this city.
I mean, something that I just am so impressed with just in the short time we've gotten to speak to you is you are so clear about what your goals are and, no fuss, no fluff. And unfortunately, that is rare. I mean, something that we talk about a lot on the pod is, America's slide towards authoritarianism under Trump. But it does feel like there are a lot of Democratic candidates who are just doing the Trump is bad and at least we're not
Right.
Trump in order to earn people's votes. And yes, we can all agree that Trump is terrible. But a lot of people are feeling disillusioned with our politics and our political leaders because of him and how people in our government are failing to actually address the issues outside of him, ones that were either pre-existing or they've kind of let slip through the cracks. So how do you think that we should go about restoring our faith in our political leaders and the people that represent us in government?
I mean, I think you're so right that we have to offer a vision. It's not just about fighting something, it's what are you fighting for? So, part of my career and track record has been, fighting the Trump administration, taking him to court. And that's definitely a huge part of what I talk about, because our city attorney isn't suing the Trump administration. So it's how can we sue Trump and prosecute ICE? But then I also think, how can we offer something more? Because that's not the only thing in Los Angeles that we're facing. Like LA is the capital of wage theft. People don't realize this. It's the largest.
Can you dig into what wage theft is
Absolutely.
for our audience? We call our audience the class because we are all about learning here.
Yeah.
So please, we are giving you the floor to explain what wage theft is.
Sure, because I think probably a lot of people will not realize that they have been victims of wage theft. It's essentially when it can come in a lot of different forms. Maybe you've been denied rest breaks. Maybe you worked overtime and you weren't paid for it. Maybe you are classified as like a gig worker or an independent contractor when you really should be an employee, because the test is whether you're doing the main work of the company subject to that company's direction.
Yeah.
So like one of my first cases was truck drivers at the Port of Los Angeles were being classified as independent contractors. And when you're an independent contractor and not an employee, the company doesn't have to pay you minimum wage, doesn't have to give you benefits, and they can deduct all of these business expenses from you. So these drivers were taking home 10-cent paychecks in some circumstances. It was terrible. And these companies called themselves, as many of the apps do, logistics companies. It's like you are a delivery company. You are coordinating delivery of goods. So these drivers are essential workers to your company mission and therefore should be employees. It's a huge loophole that, again, a lot of the apps use. They say they're just tech companies or just logistics providers, but they are providing these services off the backs of people who are being misclassified, not paid minimum wage. If you're a worker who's paid per trip or per good or per delivery instead of minimum wage, you are probably a victim of wage theft. And the thing is, so many people are victims, but often unable to advocate for their rights, because these are the very people who are being stretched, who are having to work 3 jobs. So when are they going to have time to get a lawyer? It doesn't make sense. And
they
so
can't afford one. They're afraid to say something because then of retribution and losing their job in the process.
Yeah, and that's exactly why government attorneys need to be active in this space. Like my car wash case, which is one of my favorite cases I've ever done, it was against 2 car washes paying workers as little as $4.50 an hour. Wow. All the workers were undocumented. So they knew they weren't getting paid minimum wage, but they were getting threatened with immigration consequences.
Wow.
But when we filed the lawsuit, we file as the people of the state of California. It's complete anonymity, total protection. And we were able to, in 9 months, get them a settlement that got them each between $10,000 and $40,000.
Wow.
And it's awesome. And I just think if there's something that LA needs, it's that times 100.
Yeah.
So
Right,
we just
right.
need to scale that up, because when we think about the vision we're offering people of like how government can work for them, it's government taking on the fights that you shouldn't be expected to bear alone,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah, the idea that the way government functions is a big conversation we have. And I think we've just thought of like government just functions. No, to your point, government functions for us,
For
right?
us.
It's supposed
Right,
to,
Y'all work
we,
for
right.
us.
right? We
We pay
employ
taxes.
that part, you know. One of the big things in your platform is homelessness and the homelessness
Mhm.
crisis, right? We know that the leading causes of homelessness are not only affordability, but substance issues and mental health issues. Governor
Yeah.
Gavin Newsom has made homelessness encampment sweeps a big part of his agenda, which a lot of people have criticized. A lot of homelessness advocates, critics argue that the policy criminalizes homelessness, destroys personal property, and displaces vulnerable residents without offering long-term housing solutions. Newsom maintains that, you know, what they're trying to do is connect people with care and services that they need, at the risk of sounding glib, what they need is a home, right?
Right,
Right.
right.
But
Yeah.
one of the things I just read that I think is really interesting is that Finland has homelessness is an issue around the world, but they have this housing first policy where they have
Yeah.
social services give everyone a home who needs it, no matter, and then they deal with the substance abuse, the health issue,
Right.
the mental health issues, right? And they've seen a year-over-year drop in homelessness. They've actually made money. The country has made money as a result of this because they don't have to have overextend into social services. Now, California's population is 8 times that of Finland, so I concede that,
Yeah.
right? But tell us about some ways you think the Los Angeles city attorney can affect lasting change when it comes to Californians' unhoused population.
Yeah, I mean, the housing first policies have worked wherever they've been tried, and it just makes sense that rather than, displacing someone further from corner to corner to corner and sinking them deeper into these cycles of criminalization, get them the housing they need and the services they need. And here's where the city attorney can kind of help in three ways. We kind of actually have the ability to help at three stages in the process. The most important one, which I wish people talked about it more, is that the easiest way to really address our homelessness crisis is prevent people from falling into homelessness in the first place. It is that intervention moment where it is the most cost effective and most helpful and least traumatic. And in LA in particular, we're a majority renter city, and a majority of renters are actually rent burdened. 2/3 of our rental
Yes.
stock. It's
Yeah.
true. It's true.
That's me.
I am currently rent burdened.
Yes.
Who's
Yeah. Which
Friends a
means you
Los
spend
Angeles resident. So.
right,
Yeah.
which means you spend a third of your income on rent. And 2/3 of our rental stock is big corporate landlords. And what these corporate landlords are doing, in particular, that is really insidious, is that they're engaging in algorithmic price fixing to push rent as high as possible. They're buying up rent stabilized units, then engaging re-tenanting consultants to harass people out of their housing so they can jack it up to market rate. They're using loopholes in state laws. I remember there was a mass eviction a couple of years ago, the largest in our city's history at Barrington Plaza, which is on the west side. And the tenants were organizing, pointing to the fact that this landlord was trying to use a loophole in the state law, a loophole in the Ellis Act, to say that they were going to change the use of the property. But it was clear from the paperwork that they weren't. I helped draft a letter to the city attorney begging her to come in and investigate. She refused because that landlord happened to give $150,000 to her independent expenditure
And
in
this
the
is why
first
people
campaign.
don't like politics.
Exactly. And then magically she did not open an investigation, turned the other way. And that was 700 tenants. And a few of them did stay and they did fight the case and they won. But it is sort of a Pyrrhic victory because so many had lost and had left, had self-evicted. And so my approach as city attorney would be to investigate those landlords, to initiate lawsuits. I literally just at the end of February wrapped up a lawsuit against a landlord in Northern California, and we won back $500,000 for tenants for unlawful evictions, for habitability violations. We, again, could be scaling this en masse in Los Angeles if we had a city attorney willing to do that work. Because, again, we have council members who are passing great renter protections. The tenant anti-harassment ordinance was the strongest new renter protection in 40 years. but there have been 23,000 complaints and the city attorney's only cited one landlord. So when we do all this work to pass laws, we also, that's just the first step in the process. If you don't have a city attorney enforcing them, they're just protections on paper. And that's the kind of the whole theme of my campaign is let's realize the promise of these good laws.
Marissa,
I mean,
you are
I'm
a
voting
pro.
for you. I don't even
I'm
live there.
voting, girl. I live in Los Angeles, and I got my ballot. Like, I got my ballot. I'm ready. You are so inspiring. And so one thing we are very excited to talk to you about here on Let Me Fix It, we try to talk about things that are happening in the news, and then we pitch how we would fix it. So we wanted to talk to you. I'm sure you saw this article recently that revealed that Amazon was colluding with other firms to raise prices. And this is California authorities were the ones that kind of broke this open, to your point about, the good work that's being done here to actually protect our citizens. So these emails were released by the Attorney General showing that Amazon, that's right, colluded with other companies to raise the prices of items, including things like pet treats, khaki pants, eye drops, other products sold online. Turns out Amazon employees have been repeatedly working with vendors using their platform to push retail vendors like Walmart and Chewy, the pet supply retailer, to set higher prices collectively.
And Amazon emailed the pet treat manufacturer a list of products with price increases, instructing the vendor, as you noted, Chewy should be aware of this update and follow suit accordingly. Now, in another case, Amazon sent links to Levi's, the apparel giant, showing Dockers khakis pants were sold by Walmart, describing them as styles of concern. The next day, the state officials allege, Levi's reported to Amazon that it talked to Walmart and the big box store chain had partnered with us to raise khaki prices to $29.99 immediately. So we're seeing these type of price gouging instances happening more and more in corporations. Live Nation and Ticketmaster were just found guilty of operating as a monopoly for overcharging their fans. What are some of your thoughts on how we as consumers personally can push back on this monopolistic behavior? Because it feels a little bit out of our hands. You have a lot of power as an attorney working in the government. What do we do?
Well, I think it's how the attorneys work together with consumers. Like every single case I've brought, I always like to say, like, I can come up with the legal theory once I know the facts, but it's the unions and the workers that brought me the facts about the misclassification or the minimum wage violations. It's the tenants that I have been working with and going into their homes to observe on the ground what is happening. We build these cases with the people who are impacted. And so one of the things that we can do at the city attorney's office, I mentioned, sue any business for anything unlawful, unfair, or deceptive. Well, price fixing is pretty unlawful and pretty unfair and pretty deceptive. So just check. We can do all of that. And the city attorney has concurrent powers with the AG. I need to not acronym. The city attorney has concurrent powers with the attorney general in this respect. So I'm in the consumer protection section at the California Department of Justice. So these are cases that are handled by our division, that's handled by the Antitrust section. And this is work we could do at the city attorney's office too, because there is such a wealth of it that the California Department of Justice is leading, but it would certainly be helpful if the LA City Attorney did this work too. And building this work with consumers in particular. I want to make sure that the City Attorney's office is very present in people's minds as the office that they can complain to, so that we're building the facts and the complaint databases, and we're able to track companies and be alerted so that we're able to respond proactively. Because we can't really do this in a vacuum. We need to be working with consumers to see, what are your experiences? Screenshot things for us. Help us put the case together.
We love a screenshot.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, this is, when after the fires, there was an organization called Rent Brigade that was brilliant. It documented over 1,000 listings where rentals had been increased over 10%, which is, in violation of state law during an emergency. And they gift wrapped it and handed it to the city attorney's office. And, out of 29 million that was price gouged, less than 100,000 was recovered. Only 5 cases were filed by the city attorney's office. Wow. But I look at that and I think, what a gift this organization is giving you all of the data. And that's our lawyers, we're good at many things. We're good at arguing. We're good at putting the case together, but we need to work with consumers, with the people, to get an idea of what the facts are on the ground, because you have the insights. You know something is happening that is wrong. We
Yeah.
just need to hear it so that we can fight for you.
I really love that reframe, because you are essentially telling our audience, even if you're not in Los Angeles, no matter where you are, you have power, that your voice can actually enact change by taking those screenshots. And I always tell our listeners, keep a paper trail. A paper
Yes.
trail is going to save your
Francesca
life.
should have been a lawyer.
As per
Yes,
the
it's never
last
too
email, I'm gonna forward. I keep a list. I print out my emails. So I really love that you offered some actionable steps that our listeners and consumers can participate in to protect themselves. Unfortunately, you often hear this chalked up to as like, oh, this is the way that business works. As a lawyer, can you help us understand why these types of lawsuits and why these types of antitrust laws are so important?
I mean, they're so important because it's only the way businesses work if we let them.
Oh, that's a bar.
Yeah. And here's the thing. The law that gives the California Department of Justice and the LA City Attorney the power to sue any business for anything unlawful, unfair, deceptive, the name of that law is the Unfair Competition Law, because it's not just about the fact that these practices harm consumers. They harm any business trying to do the right thing, because that business will get completely outcompete by all of the businesses that are cutting corners. And so a huge part of this theory is that we need to go after the bad actors so that the good actors have a chance, because how is a small business supposed to compete when Amazon is price fixing?
Right.
And it's part of using lawsuits to frankly rebalance the scales in favor of consumers, in favor of workers, in favor of renters, and also in favor of the small businesses that are trying to do the right thing. So this isn't the way we have to let businesses operate. Trust me, they're operating at a huge profit margin that is ill-gotten. So it's time to kind of incentivize the right behavior.
Yeah.
I keep talking about the social contract being broken when it comes to corporations and the rest of us, right? Shareholders' profits have always been significant in capitalism, and it'll be here well after we're here. It was here well before we came, right? But it always just seems to be at our expense, at the consumer's expense. So I say this somewhat in jest. Why are these corporations so greedy? Why are they so greedy? Why can't we just, it's a little socialist talk, but why can't we all just split everything, you know?
I honestly don't know. I mean, I think that's a lot of what motivates me, because it's like, well, if you're not going to split everything, we're going to sue you and redistribute the profits.
Yes.
And that's what all my lawsuits, when you think about kind of how like the theories of socialism, there's a lot of ways in which my platform is all about redistribution. It's the wages that were stolen now get put back in workers' pockets. The amount of rent that was gouged gets given back to the tenant. When corporations pollute in our neighborhoods, we sue them for all of the harm they've caused, and then we reinvest that into greening communities. It's all about going after these, again, ill-gotten gains, ill-gotten profits, and then putting it back into really remediating and restoring the people who have been harmed. And so if corporations are not going to do the right thing, the law is actually a really, really powerful way to make them do the right thing, but also then to put that recovery back into the people who have been most impacted.
Marissa, I am so excited to vote for you, girl.
I'm telling you.
I'm so excited. This was just such an inspiring and an illuminating conversation. We are rooting for you. Please let our audience know how they can support you, even if they don't live in California. And those of us that do live in California know we've got those primary elections right around the corner. So we are marking our calendars and making sure that we are ready, but we want to make sure that we can support you in every way possible. So please let our audience know.
Sure. Well, the election is on June 2nd, which is 40 days away. But in Los Angeles and in California, our ballots actually drop on May 4th. So really, the election starts in 2 weeks, and there will be about a month of voting. And what's really, what's difficult about this role and race in particular, this is a citywide race for a position no one has ever heard of. And when they do hear about it, when people get that light bulb moment and they're like, wait a minute, our city attorney could be suing Trump. Wait a minute, our city attorney could be suing my bad landlord. Wait a minute, what? It's so exciting. And I love that moment with people. And I love being able, just talking about the distrust in politicians. I feel like sometimes politicians come around on these campaigns, and I've heard it so much, and they promise and they promise and they promise. I think what I also appreciate is, for anyone skeptical, I can just point them to a case I've already done. Like, I've sued Trump. I've sued the bad landlords.
Check the receipts.
Right. Everything I'm saying I want to do is just like, let's just scale up what I've done in my career times about 100. But it's all possible. Nothing I am saying, I always kind of joke, my platform is profoundly unoriginal. It's just let's do this work. And so when people hear about this race, they get so excited. They just need to hear. And so I think what I would say to anyone listening, wherever you are, you can follow us on Instagram at Marissa Roy _LA. Really spread the word and help kind of uplift for people. And if you live in Los Angeles in particular, tell your friends that this might be one of the most important races on the ballot, because it's not just about adding another Congress member to get to a majority. We flipped this seat and we're in court against the Trump administration the next day. So it is really, really critical that people know that the city attorney can be like as exciting a position as any of these positions, and just helping people understand that whatever they care about most, the city attorney probably has a really important impact on their life. And so we're doing that. If you go to my website at marissaroy.com, you can also click on volunteer opportunities. Of course, small dollar donations help. They're matched 6-1 in the city of Los Angeles. So if you live in LA and donate $5, the city will chip in 30. It's a huge help for grassroots candidates. That's really, again, one of the ways that young progressives have been successful. And I think just getting the word out is the main thing, as far and wide as you can.
We are so glad that we were able to contribute in this way, because we believe in you, we believe in your platform, and we're just so thankful that you were able to spend some time with us today.
This was so much fun, and thank you all for getting excited about the law. Lawyers can be cool too.
Yeah.
we get a bad rap, but we can be cool too.
Absolutely. Advocates as well, right?
Yes.
Thank you so much.